English Habit. Listening to the podcast. Leo, have you ever had those days where your mind feels heavy, like you're carrying invisible weight? You don't know exactly what is wrong, but something inside you feels out of balance.
Anna, I think everyone has those days. But to be honest, I used to have them all the time. I felt like my thoughts were controlling me instead of me controlling them. My brain would replay the same negative ideas again and again, and even when I wanted to stop, I couldn't. It made me feel trapped.
That's exactly what I've been thinking about lately, how people get stuck in their mental patterns. It's like we build these inner pathways through repetition, and after a while, our brain simply chooses the same route automatically, even when the route is painful or unhelpful.
Yes, and sometimes people think it's their personality or fate or destiny, but really, it's just wiring. It's just the brain using the same pattern because it's familiar, not because it's right.
That's the dangerous part. Our brain prefers familiarity over happiness. It wants safety, predictability, survival. Not growth, not joy, not fulfillment. So we get stuck in old emotions, old habits, old stories, even when we want to change.
It makes me think about how many people blame themselves for not improving fast enough. They feel like they're broken, but actually, they're normal. Their brain is just protecting them in the wrong way. Once they understand that, they can finally start to change.
I've been reading about how the brain forms loops, emotional loops, thinking loops, behavioral loops. Once a loop is built, the brain keeps repeating it because that requires less energy. That's why we often react the same way to stress, relationships, rejection, or discomfort.
Exactly. The brain loves shortcuts. If something happened in your past and created a strong emotional memory, your brain will treat similar situations as danger, even if the new situation is harmless. That's why someone might get nervous speaking up, or feel anxious around new people, or avoid challenges. It's not because they are weak, it's because their brain is repeating an old loop.
And the scary thing is that these loops often begin in childhood or teenage years. Something small might have happened, maybe someone laughed at you when you spoke, or someone told you that you were not good enough. And that moment becomes a loop, a self-belief.
Yes, and the brain says, this happened before. Avoid it. Protect yourself. But protection can sometimes become a prison, a mental prison that keeps you from becoming who you could be.
I think most adults don't realize that they're living according to old stories they didn't choose, stories that were written long ago, often by other people.
That's why rewiring the brain is so powerful. You can choose new stories. You can write a new identity. You can tell your brain, hey, we're not living in the past anymore. Things are different now.
So, if someone feels stuck in their old patterns, what's the first step? What's the first real move toward change?
Awareness. Always awareness. You can't change what you don't notice. You have to recognize your loops. You have to look at your thoughts and ask, is this true? Or is this just an old pattern repeating itself?
It's like learning to observe your mind as if it belongs to someone else, not believing every thought automatically, but examining it with curiosity instead of fear.
Exactly. People think their thoughts are facts, but most thoughts are just interpretations, shaped by fear, shaped by experience, shaped by survival instincts. When you start observing your thoughts instead of obeying them, that's the beginning of freedom.
I think a lot of people never question their negative beliefs. They just accept them. I'm not confident. I always fail. I'm not good enough. But they don't realize these beliefs are optional.
Optional. I love that word. Thoughts are optional, beliefs are optional, reactions are optional. But people live as if everything is fixed. When you understand that nothing inside you is permanent, your entire life opens up.
Let's talk about emotions, because emotions are not just feelings, they are memories. That's why certain situations trigger strong reactions. It's not the present moment you're reacting to, it's a memory from the past.
True. For example, when someone gets angry quickly, it's usually because their brain learned long ago that anger equals safety or control. Or when someone becomes quiet and withdrawn, it's because their brain learned that silence keeps them safe. We are not reacting to life, we're reacting to our history.
And when people realize this, they can stop blaming themselves. They can stop thinking they're broken. They can understand that they're simply following old programming.
Yes, and you can never heal something if you hate yourself for having it. Healing begins when you understand where your patterns come from.
It makes sense. When you understand your brain is trying to protect you, you stop fighting with yourself. You start working with yourself instead of against yourself.
And that's when change becomes possible, when you feel compassion for your own mind.
So once someone becomes aware of their patterns, how do they rewire their brain? What does it actually look like in daily life?
Repetition and emotion. Those are the two keys. The brain rewires when a new pattern is repeated again and again, especially when that pattern is connected with strong emotion. Excitement, curiosity, hope, gratitude.
So small actions repeated with emotion.
Exactly. If you want confidence, you take small, confident actions every day. If you want peace, you practice calming your mind every day. If you want courage, you step into small moments of discomfort every day. And you do it with feeling. You celebrate, you feel proud, you feel joy. Emotion makes the new patterns stronger.
It's like building a new road in the brain. At first, the road is tiny, just a dirt path. But every time you walk on it, it gets bigger, clearer, stronger.
And eventually, the new path becomes the main road. And the old path, the negative one, becomes weaker. That's literally how brain rewiring works.
So once someone becomes aware of their patterns, how do they rewire their brain? What does it actually look like in daily life?
Repetition and emotion. Those are the two keys. The brain rewires when a new pattern is repeated again and again, especially when that pattern is connected with strong emotion. Excitement, curiosity, hope, gratitude.
So small actions repeated with emotion.
Exactly. If you want confidence, you take small, confident actions every day. If you want peace, you practice calming your mind every day. If you want courage, you step into small moments of discomfort every day. And you do it with feeling. You celebrate, you feel proud, you feel joy. Emotion makes the new patterns stronger.
It's like building a new road in the brain. At first, the road is tiny, just a dirt path. But every time you walk on it, it gets bigger, clearer, stronger.
And eventually, the new path becomes the main road. And the old path, the negative one, becomes weaker. That's literally how brain rewiring works.
I've also heard that people can become addicted to their emotions, especially negative ones, like anxiety or frustration. Not because they want them, but because their brain is familiar with them.
Absolutely. The brain gets addicted to whatever is repeated, even if it's painful. Some people don't know how to live without stress because their body is used to that chemical state. Peace feels unfamiliar, so they reject it.
That's why some people sabotage good things. They finally get a healthy relationship or a good job or a new opportunity, but their brain pulls them back to old emotional patterns.
And rewiring means breaking those emotional addictions, teaching the body that new emotions like confidence, calmness, or gratitude are safe.
Let's talk about the future self method. How imagining your future self helps you rewire your brain.
When you visualize your future self clearly, how they think, speak, behave, your brain starts creating a blueprint. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. So when you imagine your future self, you're literally teaching your brain a new identity.
That's why athletes visualize success, not for motivation, but for training the brain.
Exactly. Visualization is rehearsal. It's mental practice. And when you combine visualization with small real actions, the change becomes unstoppable.
Rewiring the brain is not about forcing yourself to change. It's about living with intention, intentionally choosing your thoughts, your responses, your actions.
Yes, instead of reacting automatically, you respond consciously. Instead of following old patterns, you create new ones. Instead of being controlled by emotions, you guide them.
It's like becoming the director of your own mind instead of just an actor following an old script.
And that's when life starts to feel meaningful. When you realize you're not controlled by the past, you're creating your future.
If someone listening to this feels stuck, what would you tell them?
I'd say you are not broken. Your brain is simply repeating old patterns, and patterns can be rewritten. Start small. Start with awareness. Start with one new action today. Your future self is not far away. You build them every single day.
Beautiful. And remember, your mind is not a cage. It's a tool, a powerful tool. And when you learn to use it with intention, your whole life can change.
Exactly. Change your thoughts, change your identity, change your life.